Hey guys, it's Meg and Beth. Today we're going to talk about comprehension purpose questions. But before we get into that, we're going to talk a little bit about what strategies are and what they're not when we're reading. Strategies are deliberate efforts by readers to either understand what they're reading or remember what they're reading. They're not worksheets or skills in isolation. I'd like to share with you a list of common reading strategies you may be familiar with. We have activating prior knowledge, using your schema, questioning, which we're going to talk about more in depth, visualizing or creating mental images of what we're reading as we're reading, monitoring comprehension, clarifying meaning, and other fix-up strategies. Our favorite, making inferences. And summarizing or retelling what we've read. Today, we're going to focus on questioning. Why would we ask a comprehension purpose question? Well, comprehension purpose questions can help our students set a purpose for reading, examine relationships among ideas, think actively as they read, monitor their comprehension, and review content for understanding. So now we know why we'd make these type of questions for our students. Now let's talk about how. I've got some texts here. Let's take a look through them and see which one will work best for our lesson. I have a stack of informational texts that I've been using with my students during their reading time. This would be really great if we were focusing on that for the lesson. However, I think for our comprehension purpose question today, fiction text will suit us best. So I have a stack of these. You really want to think about student interest, the standards you're covering, and the depth to which you're going to be asking questions. I think I'm going to choose one of my favorites, Last Stop on Market Street. Okay. To think about a comprehension purpose question, which I'm going to be calling CPQ from now on, we want to think about what will focus our students' attention during the reading. The first time we read a text, the comprehension can be a larger, easier, overarching question, something that's going to help our students really focus throughout the text on what's happening, what does it mean, what do I think is going to happen next, those sorts of things. As we move through multiple reads with our students, we can get deeper with our questioning. So let's remember, you can set a comprehension purpose question for any piece of text, no matter how large or small. For example, with this book, Last Stop on Market Street, you could set a comprehension purpose question just for the flap. You could set it for a page or for the entire text. What we're going to do now is go through the text and think about how we might create comprehension purpose questions for our small group of students. Okay. It's really important that you read the book before you have your kids read the book, which is what part of the planning process is all about. So I'm going to read through the text, and as I'm reading, I'm going to think about different comprehension purpose questions that I could set. Remember, at the beginning, you really want to think about overarching, bigger questions that aren't so in-depth. And then as you read through the text with your students multiple times, your questions can go deeper. CJ pushed through the church doors, skipped down the steps. The outside air smelled like freedom, but it also smelled like rain, which freckled CJ's shirt and dripped down his nose. So I'm already thinking as I'm planning for my later questions, character development is a really great place to ask your comprehension purpose questions. Any kind of changes the character might go through, whether it be in their feelings, their thoughts, their actions. So I'm already noticing that CJ is my main character. So I'm just going to kind of take note of that and think about different things I might be able to ask about CJ as I read. So I've made a sticky note for that, and then I have other sticky notes available if I come across other things. He ducked under his Nana's umbrella, saying, "How come we gotta wait for the bus in all this wet?" "Trees get thirsty too," his Nana told him. "Don't you see that big one drinking through a straw?" CJ looked for a long time, but never saw a straw. So I'm already noticing that CJ is having an issue with waiting for the bus, so that's something I'm going to write down here on my note. Doesn't want to wait for the bus. From the bus stop, he watched water pool on flower petals, watched rain patter against the windshield of a nearby car. His friend Colby climbed in, gave CJ a wave, and drove off with his dad. "Nana, how come we don't got a car?" So again, as I'm reading, I'm still thinking about CJ and what's happening in the story, and I'm noticing once more transportation is coming up. He doesn't want to wait for the bus. It's raining. Now he's wondering why they don't have a car. He's noticing the differences in the world around him. These are all things we can think about for our questions. "Boy, what do we need a car for? We got a bus that breathes fire and old Mr. Dennis, who always has a trick for you." The bus creaked to a stop in front of them. It sighed and sagged, and the doors swung open. "What's that I see?" Mr. Dennis asked. He pulled a coin from behind CJ's ear, placed it in his palm. Nana laughed her deep laugh and pushed CJ along. They sat right up front. The man across the way was tuning a guitar. An old woman with curlers had butterflies in a jar. Nana gave everyone a great big smile and a good afternoon. She made sure CJ did the same. So just some outside notes, outside of CJ, I'm noticing that already there's a sense of community on the bus. The people seem to know each other. That makes me think that they're regulars. They frequent the bus a lot. This is something that can come into play when we're making connections to our background knowledge, activating our schema, but it's definitely something that's going to come up when we're setting some questions later on. So a sense of community on the bus. The bus lurched forward and stopped, lurched forward and stopped. Nana hummed as she knit. "How come we always got to go here after church?" CJ said. "Miguel and Colby never have to go nowhere." "I feel sorry for those boys," she told him. "They'll never get a chance to meet Bobo or the sunglass man. And I hear Trixie got herself a brand new hat." CJ stared out the window, feeling sorry for himself. He watched cars zip by on either side, watched a group of boys hop curbs on bikes. So once again, we have transportation coming up. He's noticing the cars, what he doesn't have. He's noticing boys on bikes. He's thinking about their obligations and what his friends are doing. So I'm going to put those notes under CJ. A man climbed aboard with a spotted dog. CJ gave up his seat. "How come that man can't see?" "Boy, what do you know about seeing?" Nana told him. "Some people watch the world with their ears." "That's a fact. Their noses, too," the man said, sniffing at the air. "That's a mighty fine perfume you're wearing today, ma'am." Nana squeezed the man's hand and laughed her deep laugh. Okay, so another thing I'm noticing about the community on this bus is they're very different. It's a diverse community, so that could be something we could ask about as we move forward in our questioning. So I'm just take note of it. Diverse community. We have the blind man. Two older boys got on next. CJ watched as they moved on by and stood in the back. "Sure wish I had one of those," he said. Nana sat down her knitting. "What for? You got the real life thing sitting across from you. Why don't you ask the man if he'll play us a song?" CJ didn't have to. The guitar player was already plucking strings and beginning to sing. "To feel the magic of music," the blind man whispered, "I like to close my eyes." Nana closed hers too. So did CJ and the spotted dog. Your kids may or may not pick up on the blind man being humorous. That could be a interesting thing to talk about or to notice. And in the darkness, the rhythm lifted CJ out of the bus, out of the busy city. He saw sunset colors swirling over crashing waves, saw a family of hawks slicing through the sky, saw the old woman's butterflies dancing free in the light of the moon. CJ's chest grew full, and he was lost in the sound, and the sound gave him the feeling of magic. The song ended, and CJ opened his eyes. Everyone on the bus clapped, even the boys in the back. Nana glanced at the coin in CJ's palm. CJ dropped it in the man's hat. "Last stop on Market Street," Mr. Dennis called. So I'm thinking about CJ, and I'm noticing there's already some changes happening, right? He's become a little bit more free, a little bit more happy. So the music, closing his eyes. He visualized himself outside of the bus. CJ looked around as he stepped off the bus. Crumbling sidewalks and broken down doors, graffiti-tagged windows and boarded-up stores. He reached for his Nana's hand. "How come it's always so dirty over here?" She smiled and pointed to the sky. "Sometimes when you're surrounded by dirt, CJ, you're a better witness for what's beautiful." I always get chills at that part. CJ saw the perfect rainbow arcing over their soup kitchen. He wondered how his Nana always found beautiful where he never even thought to look. He looked all around them again, at the bus rounding the corner out of sight, and the broken street lamps still lit up bright, and the stray cat shadows moving across the wall. When he spotted their familiar faces in the window, he said, "I'm glad we came." He thought his Nana might laugh her deep laugh, but she didn't. She patted him on the head and told him, "Me too, CJ. Now come on." So as the book draws to a close, we can see that there's so many things worth exploring with our students there. But we have to remember we're working with special populations and we're working in small groups. So we really need to narrow down our focus to something big at first. So for our first comprehension purpose question, I'm thinking something around the main idea, the change that CJ goes through with realizing that there's beauty in the world around him, and riding the bus is a great thing because he gets to appreciate that beauty instead of being isolated in a car or on a bike or somewhere different. So I think that's a really good area to focus our first comprehension purpose question on. So we can remember two words, where and why. Where and why are really great words for helping us think about questions. So we can think about, with the bus and CJ's change, why did CJ change his mind about riding on the bus? It's a great question for our students because as they're reading, it's something they can hold on to in their mind that will help them connect to the story, connect to the events that are taking place, and the changes that are taking place as the story moves along. It's really going to help our students deepen their comprehension, which is the purpose of a comprehension purpose question, or CPQ. As we move through multiple reads of the text, we can get deeper with our questions. We can think about community, we can think about character development, think about a lot of things. Another really great thing to do for our students is to release the questioning to them, to give our students the opportunity to create their own comprehension purpose questions. Remember those two words, where and why. Those are great words to help our students ask questions. Because we're working with special populations, we really want to make sure to have scaffolds to support them in asking questions. A really easy one is flashcards, helping them understand the words that they can use in their questions. So I'm going to create some right now for our students. Where and why? These don't have to be the only two words that you use, but they're a great start. Handing these off to students, they can keep them with them as you read and be thinking about the different where and why questions that they have. Then they can use these questions to help them set their own purpose for another read of the text. Today we focused on a single strategy, questioning. When working with our special population of students, it's really important to focus on one strategy at a time. We want to teach the strategy and then give them multiple opportunities to practice it. Once they've got it, we can move on to the next strategy, but we need to remind them to keep using the strategy they've already mastered. Oftentimes, when we move on to the next strategy, if we don't incorporate what they've already done, they forget it. Really hope you enjoyed thinking about comprehension purpose questions with me today. As you move forward with your instruction, this can be a great tool to help your students set a purpose for their reading, deepen their comprehension, and just enjoy the text.